Hello, hi, how are you today? I'm Patricia. Today I want to talk to you about these new moon energies. This is a new moon where there will be deaths of a sort. There are spiritual deaths. There may be more figurative deaths than actual deaths. Okay, this is not me wishing death upon people. Even though you may know some people who are truly very sick and they may pass over and go on to the next step of their journey. And we always bless them. So let's get to the point, which is new moon energies. I had a song message, and if you don't get song messages, you are missing out because there are a lot of red ray twin flames from past, present, and in the future that sing the messages that you need to know or write it down or put it together. I've been cheated, been mistreated. When will I be loved? Now, that was written by Phil Everly, popularized by Linda Ronstadt in the 70s. And it's a damn good song because it just spells it out for this energy. When will you be loved? So, this energy is about some new beginnings for you. And it's about making choices and making the right choices and sometimes overriding your ego. If you do not know how to override your ego, oh my God, it's time to start working on your light body and do it the right way with my modality because we get it opened, expanded, where your ego doesn't get a vote. Your ego may be there to protect you at times, but your ego is not the fullness of your actual light body. Okay, it's a small little part. And for most people, it's coming back to you. You're detaching ego connections, which we call mental connections, strings of connection, mental emotional connections. The rationale of the mind when people do crappy thing to us, like cheating us, putting us down, pushing us around, and when will you be loved? That part's up to you. So, how do we get started with this? The light body, okay? You don't know what that is? Well, are you continuing to ground yourself and really grind it into the same old levels? Or are you detaching? Now, over the past month, there have been a lot of purging energy. And I encourage you watch my next video where I explain some of this and the difference between purging and actually ascending. So if you're ready to rise up out of those old levels, try out my work. Check out my website where I have written quite a bit explaining what it is. Not only is it good for you, it's preventative. So, what are some of these deaths and what are these new beginnings? Well, if you're just operating from ego, your ego's going to tell you you need that man, or that's what men do, or that's what women do, or girls are like that, or something, or maybe there's an endless supply of rationales from that little bitty mind. You're also working with like the survivalist mind versus a very high intellect, which nourishes you and wants to develop within you so that you have your solutions, you have your next steps. I can't tell you what some of those are, but some of those are the very things you need to thrive. Things that like really they can be basic, but they're like next level. Things like housing, career, etc. All of your houses are going to be coming up in this energy. It's just which ones are the priority. So if we work from ego, we're talking about things like greed, power plays, sexual manipulations. Be careful about sexual manipulations because that person, you could call them a narcissist, and then they're still going to be playing those kind of games, withholding, withdrawing, popping up again. You don't know where you stand. They love to keep you off balance, like old story, right? But how do you get out of it? Because your mind will say things like, well, that's how it is, or they were hurt too. Enough. You can no longer convince me that people with mental health problems do not know the difference between right and wrong, and I'll tell you why. Inside is a hurt. They're not so dark that some of these higher energies aren't pulling some of this stuff away. That's why it's being exposed. That's why it's coming up for healing. And that's why you have to be healed from all that damage and rise up, right? You could be bored. You could be exhausted. Are you in someone else's thrall? Yeah, that happens a lot. It happens on a large scale. And let's just say something about, the old version of the mind. Sometimes it's like, they'll be like, oh, it's the principle of the thing. I need you to stand right there and listen to what I have to say because it's the principle of the thing. I'm making a point with you. Oh my God. We just had a holiday here in the United States. How many people came against, that one drunk uncle, or the patriarch or the matriarch, or all of the, people make jokes about it, the gossiping aunt and the manipulative cousins and the like kind of creepy, sexually manipulative people you're loosely related. What? This is not normal. But what is normal? Okay. And even though your mind has found the ways for you to cope, we want to get you out of those levels. And the amazing thing that happens is those people start being on their P's and Q's. They start showing you that inner part of them, usually only when you're with them. They can't pull that crap with you, okay? And there's a progress to this. So this is also why I run webinars, so that you can progress with it, workshops, webinars, because it didn't happen overnight. I wish I could wave a magic wand, and it won't. So the new moon is where you're going to find your sweet spots. Okay? That's your new beginnings of where can I start from. So this new moon, even though you're going to really see what are your negative things, what negative things have, come up for you as a result of having to cope or deal. Where are your negative links? What is it connected to? Okay, so if you're in someone's thrall and you're like, well, this relationship, it's kind of a dead-end relationship. Many times I will tell you the number one reason that people don't make changes. They don't know what's going to replace it. Okay. The other one is sometimes they don't know who's going to pay the bills. Okay. So it's finance. So it's your root and your money and the mind. And these are not the highest versions of that. These are like those low survivalist, low vibrational. That's where you've been grounded or trapped. Maybe you're baby trapped. Maybe you realize like, oh my God, I've made so many life choices. And oh my God, and I want to help you take those lemons and turn them into lemonade, where your kids are getting the positive reinforcement from another level that they need for their futures to unravel the bad DNA. I mean, I'm talking about large scale stuff that goes into your past, your inner child, your past lives, your past up until yesterday. It's hard to think in that scope when your immediate things are feeling affected. And sometimes, it could be affected by things on the world stage. Do you have people that are, they have an immigration case? Do you have people that have financial things? Do you have people that have health things and you're not sure where the help is coming from because you can't be the caretaker anymore? And you can't work and you're trapped. You're just absolutely trapped with this. I don't wish it upon people. It's the reality for a lot of people. Have you been affected by a storm? I mean, these storms have been cataclysmic level, but there's still things that we have to do after. People still need to eat, they have to find shelter. So, all of those basic needs are still the needs that you need and they need and everybody else needs, no matter what's happening on the global stage. Doesn't matter how it's getting manipulated or spun. You have to focus on you and what is it that you need and then that you want, and what can you rise up to. These are steps, and I'm here to help you with these steps. So this involves your spirit, the much larger subtle body that you have. These things that happen, being bored, exhausted, these are signs of being dispirited, detached, apathetic, hating. The hatred is palpable, except when you're on a level where that vibe isn't pervasive. If you're down here, it's pervasive. If you're up here, yeah, not so pervasive. It can't penetrate. Do you understand? So, what are your shadow sides? Because that is where you have to start for your new beginning. In this new moon, all these retrogrades, right? New moon, Pluto, Uranus, Jupiter, what is your sweet spot? Okay. How would you like to change it? What is the one thing that you think is the point where you can start at? Okay. I'm going to tell you something else, and this is going to shock some people. You will see, and you may experience, a lot of karmic balancing. People aren't sure what karmic balancing is. So let me kind of explain it for you. Unless you detach from karma and you detach from duality, duality means this for that sometimes, or an eye for an eye, and it can really be that brutal. That means if somehow let's say you embezzled something, you would find that someone stole money from you somehow, or you become the victim of a fraud. And this is a karmic balancing. Now, while your mind could rationalize it and say, you know what, yeah, I must have done that some point in history, or your twin flame did it and you are the same essence. So each of you can feel affected by this, or you can feel affected by the things that your other half has been up to. Okay. A lot of people put their twin on a pedestal and think like, oh, this person can do no wrong. They're beautiful. They felt the love. And it's like, they may have been in the nitty gritty just to survive. So that's the reality. So karmic balancing, this involves a degree of not just atonement, but a true, genuine desire, because this is being dialed up. If you dished it out, you're going to get it back. The negative forces that were used against will return to their creator 3 times, and 3 times the force. And this is something that you want to be able to avoid. Okay. And there's been all kinds of stuff. I'm using that as an example. It can also involve things that tend to do with addictions. So let's say someone in the family is a gambler and they came into some money and then gambled it away, and somehow they left other people holding them back, right? But that person is supposed to ascend. They will find that their soul is the one that kind of pushes them to feel this. Maybe it's a sense of remorse, regret, but beyond that, the spirit wants to make things right. And the spirit will prevail. And the spirit is the thing that people cannot see, but you feel. Now, we have Mercury retrograde also until the 15th, but it goes beyond this. So as many times as people have said, I found my voice, right? And sometimes you do need to speak up about injustices, because what if nobody said anything? What if nobody did anything, right? What if you didn't defend that child, or, but we're beginning to see all of the layers of corruption in there. Okay. So what I would say is pause. Your watchword in this retrograde energy and the new moon is a new beginning is pause, hold your tongue. Really feel if you should say something. So I have a personal story about this, right? Um, I helped my mom because my mom's a little bit older now. And she had this gathering of about 100 people for this group she belongs to. And they do things like they mobilize if there's like local flooding. They help the police like do traffic and block off roads. Like they'll put those horses. They help reach out. They help get a lot of people registered to vote. That's part of their initiative. And they help with like local river cleanup and stuff like this, right? So they had a gathering, and a lot of this is all volunteer. So someone paid for the room and stuff like that, and they brought snacks, and I helped set up the tables and put it out, right? So when we got to break it up and clean up, there was one lady, and she really liked these plastic cups, and they were made from like a bamboo resin, so they were supposed to be, reusable but biodegradable if they accidentally got thrown out. But my orders were, could they please be returned because someone's sister, one of the volunteer sisters, had lent it out. And I said to her kindly, I said, we have these on loan from one of the volunteer sisters. I'm sorry, I need it back. And I could tell she was a little miffed, but she agreed and gave it back. And it was this like really weird, ugly beige color. These weren't even pretty cups. She just liked it because it was recyclable and new and, like a new technology. I get it. And then I see her at the fitness center, right? And I'm sitting in a chair and I'm taking a call, and she says to me, please don't sit there. It implies that you work here. And I just got up and left. I didn't say a word. But then I was a little miffed, right? And I'm thinking, does she remember me? Did she do it on purpose? And I made a decision in that moment to not let my mind work overtime on it, okay? And she works as a personal trainer. So then I'm next to her on a machine, and there she is with someone, and she's saying how someone was so rude to her and actually said something highly rude about her dead son, and says, well, maybe, if your son hadn't died, they wouldn't have, something like that. And I was like, I did not know that about her. Now, while they created immediate sympathy in me, it reminded me, you don't know other people's pain. So pause. If they're in pain, pause and really use your spirit to help you tune into this stuff. If you're not learning, if you're just reactive, you're going to be lost in the next years to come. You have to be able to become adept at this. So what happened after that is it kind of flipped, and I told my mom, I was like, you know what, Mom, it turns out I'm so glad I held my tongue, because that lady, she lost her child and blah, blah, blah. And then after that, we got in a conversation, and she formally introduced herself, and she's like, hi, I'm Janet. And I'm like, hi, I'm Patricia. And we chit-chatted about some stuff. And then she was like, well, it was nice to meet you. And we had totally flipped that around. Now, the point is, we're not going to be best friends, but nor are we enemies. Nor do I have to get revenge or retaliation or retribution or some other pettiness. We need to stop the pettiness on this planet, this duality of tit for tat. I'm going to give it back to you and you gave it to me, because there's a lot of pushback, okay? Angels bite back. There's a lot of pushback. People are not going to be safe. Your safety is in your spirit. Your safety is in your 5D connections. Now, if you're ready to work with someone who knows this stuff, can answer your questions, can help you develop this, please check the links below, because yes, I do have a 3-part workshop webinar coming up on this. We're going to talk about ascension symptoms. We're going to talk about how to connect with people in their spirit to smooth your life out. And I mean people that you almost don't even want to look at them. We're going to engage your higher self, because just doing some of the, stuff out there, like, it's like passe by now. You are being pushed out of your comfort zone. And I hope you take this seriously. I hope you want to get out of the land of karma. I hope that you really do understand you have an ascension and you have a journey and you can do this. Okay. You can get my daily routine. The link is below, because a lot of people are like, they don't know where to start. Well, I marked it down. I produced demonstration videos and an outline, and I've got 5 books, and these things are all available for you. Watch my next video. Please like and subscribe. Share this with people, because they may be very confused. And we have to stop making this like airy-fairy abstract. There's a difference between when you awake and take action and just pretending to be woke, because being spiritually or morally superior sometimes is like, it's very earthy and it's very egoic. And we want you to feel these things and have it work through you from the right place. So thanks so much for watching. I know I got a little wordy there. I want you to be able to implement this in your life, because let me tell you, with Janet, that made it very pleasant. That felt so different than like being like, oh my God, like, what do I, please, we gotta stop that stuff. And if you knew the family I grew up on, you were on guard all the time. You were like always waiting for someone to like give you a chore, or berate you, or deride you, or cut you down, or be sarcastic with you. And in some families, it gets very much more abusive. You get punished, and like, I want to help you with that. Okay. When I say help, I want you to understand that help is that no matter what kind of like weird freight train you took to get born into this place, that you can put it behind you and make it a part of your past life, feel good, and maybe even be like Switzerland and be neutral with the others. Okay. So thanks so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.